What's up, y'all? This video is about addiction, alcoholism more specifically, and things I had to go through um, in my journey to stay sober, stuff like that. So, I finally got to kind of like a rock bottom point where it's like, I gotta figure something out. I don't want to be fucking miserable my whole life. And I just knew I had to get my shit together, basically. So, so I think one of the hardest things about getting clean is you have to face a lot of fucking shit, demons that you don't want to face, and that's like you have to deal with the fact that sometimes you're not as courageous as you want to believe you are. Um, you have to face that you're not as authentic. You weren't being as authentic um, as you want to be. Um, you have to face. You have a lot of darkness, a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, and you have to, and just you have to face your mind. A lot of times as alcoholics and addicts, we have like really dark, negative minds. Like we, we have a lot of self-hatred issues a lot of times, and we're constantly, thinking terrible things about ourselves. And so you have to kind of learn to have like, a more positive mind if you want to be sober and stay sober. And you have to face your anxiety that, a lot of times, you know, and depression and stuff like that, you have to face it without the, without the drink, without the drug to make you feel good. You have to feel your emotions. And as addicts, a lot of times we hate fucking emotions, especially the negative ones, and we usually have a lot of that. And so it's really hard to, and we have to face all the, bad decisions we've made, because usually when you're an addict, you just created a shitstorm of like destruction all around you. You've hurt yourself, you've hurt your family, you've hurt people you love, you've gone through so much heartbreak, just so much shit. You've done probably so much fucked up shit, because you're always like high or drunk. And so you have to learn forgiveness. You have to learn compassion for others and yourself. Because we're really hard on ourselves as addicts. We like, it's like, it was terrible. How I treated myself. You have to like face the fact that like maybe it's like as an alcoholic you can accumulate, like a beer belly or whatever, and so you look like shit, and then you have to face that you like kind of, I don't look my best, and you have to learn, you have to face your trauma. You have to face a lot of things that happened to you that maybe in your past, in your childhood or whatever, that were real harmful, and you have to look at that and you have to heal that. So getting sober it's a healing process. The longer you stay sober, the longer you're able to heal. Like I'm still healing. I've been sober for 8 years, and I'm still improving. I'm still facing things. It's like a, the process doesn't end, but the more you do it, you start to be more like, when I first got sober, I was completely ashamed of kind of like where I was in life, and that was hard to face because that's like an ego kind of like, you know, that it just hurts your ego so bad when you're just like, damn, I'm kind of like, kind of ain't shit. You know what I mean? You know, I haven't done a lot of the things that I want to. I'm not the kind of man that I wish I was. And a lot of like, you know, alcoholics and addicts, we don't want to face that. That's the hardest thing is like, we don't want to face the reality of where we are. But if you don't face that, then you're never going to be able to heal and get better, you know. And you have to accept it. You have to, like, instead of like, you know, like being hard on yourself, you have to learn to accept it and, you know, give yourself compassion and be like, you know, I'm not at my best, but that's fine. And it's although you have to take personal responsibility, you have to take into consideration like it's not your fault. Like the reason you're an addict is due to like shit that's probably not your fault. Everybody has a different story. Everybody has different traumas, but usually addicts are just people that have trauma, maybe trauma that, you know, from whatever, family, maybe trauma from culture, maybe trauma from just personal experience, maybe you're assaulted, whatever. And so a lot of your issues come from that. So it's not all your fault. So you know, it's just where you are, and it's fine. You know, a lot of times as, you know, addicts and stuff, we tell ourselves like, oh man, we ain't shit. I should be here. No, you're exactly where you should be. And you just gotta like, a lot of times just stop entertaining all the negative stories that you tell yourself. You know what I mean? And, you know, learn to accept things. That's like the alcoholic prayer. It's like, it's about acceptance. And, you know, although I never went to like AA meetings and stuff like that, I kind of did it my own way because that's just how I am. But, you know, a lot of the stuff that helps addicts get sober is things like stop, you know, learning how to be more grateful. You know what I mean? Like when I was an addict, I would always be complaining about everything, and didn't, I didn't like, you know, because there were so many things I wanted out of life that I couldn't get, and, you know, I didn't take the time to be grateful. And so things like gratitude will make it easier to stay sober and get sober. Things like compassion for yourself and others. You know, a higher power. You know what I mean? Things like that. It doesn't have to be a religion or anything. It could just be, you know, just a higher power that helps people. But a lot of it is just simple as, and just overcoming your fears. You know, a lot of times addicts, we have a lot of fear due to trauma. And so, you know, you gotta face that. And the more you face your fears and overcome your fears, the less you'll need drugs. You know what I mean? The less you'll need, you know, a lot of times as addicts, we have a lot of social anxiety. You know, we're really lonely. We just have all these issues, and we just have really miserable lives. And so we do a drug again to kind of like deal with that. But it all kind of stems from like you have to overcome a lot of your fears, and the more you overcome your fears and things, you know, the easier it is to get sober and where you can be happy. A lot of addicts, we don't think we can be happy sober, but you know, you can. And it might not all happen in one day, you know, because you got to heal a lot of things. You know, you got to replace a bad habit with a good habit. For instance, it might be, you start going to the gym, you start eating better, you start reading more, reading books that can practically help you, you start learning more, and then as you learn more, as you improve your habits, you know, you'll start feeling better. Because, I mean, when you really think about it, like, we're made of drugs, just naturally, like neurotransmitters. That's where we get the dopamine. That's where we get, a lot of these feel good hormones. And so, when you have certain kind of habits, you get natural highs. But you've, when you've been doing drugs, you fuck your brain chemistry up, and getting you're getting a lot of highs that are like unearned. You know what I mean? Where you know if you were like sober, you would get highs from like working on something, accomplishing something, working out, you know, being social or whatever, And so, you have to realize like, you know, you can find happiness outside of drugs. There is hope. It doesn't feel like it at at first, because you have to deal with a lot of the trauma, and you have to face the hard stuff that you don't want to face without judging yourself. We're really hard judges on ourselves. If we're not where we want to be in life, we tell ourselves that we ain't shit and stuff like that. And that makes us, depletes our energy. You have to learn how to cultivate a more positive mind state so you empower yourself. Because a lot of times we'll be so drained because we're always beating ourselves down. You have to learn how to empower yourself. You have to cultivate a mind that feeds you good things instead of a mind that always feeds you negativity. Because a lot of times as addicts, we cultivate a mind that is always looking at the negative. And there's, I think you should be balanced. There's some people that are all positive and they ignore the negative things that are going on in the culture. They ignore the negative things in themselves. So I think it's definitely good to be aware of things that you may not like about yourself or like about things outside of you. But a lot of times as addicts, we're too unbalanced. It's all about the negative. And so we have to learn to train our minds to start start being more positive. And that takes work, because if you've been, empowering the negative shit in you, then it takes a minute. Like, for me, because I had a really negative mind, I was just always kind of like, feeding the negative. And I had to retrain my mind to be more positive. So it would be like a negative thought would come, but then I would be like, no, I'm going to choose some positive thought. And it was a lot of work at first. It was like exhausting. I'm like, God damn, being positive is hard. But then as you start to do it more and more, you start to reprogram your subconscious, and then it's easy. Then being negative is hard. And then when you're positive, you'll start attracting more positive things in your life. See, a lot of times we don't realize the power of our minds, and we create these negative minds, and then we attract all these negative things, and then we don't get it. As you cultivate a positive mind and a positive subconscious, you start to attract more positive things, and so your relationships improve. And then when your relationships improve, you're happier and you don't need drugs as much. So, and it's basically, you have to learn how to face the storm. You know what I mean? You have to learn to face a lot of the pain instead of resisting it. It's a part of life. And because a lot of times when you resist stuff, it just gets worse and it makes your life more miserable. You just accept it and realize, just like the weather, it's going to come, it's going to go. And I know that's harder said than done, but I'm telling you, like, when you learn how to accept reality, because a lot of things too that get you, we, a lot of times it's like you could be at work and you're like, oh man, this job is so hard, it ain't fair, and oh, da da da, and you know, if you're not gonna quit and find a new job, it's better to just accept that, yeah, it's hard, but to just accept it. And then when you accept, it's not as hard. So it's like sometimes we have to learn how to accept the things we can't change, and that's the alcoholic prayer. You know what I mean? You know, not to say you shouldn't work on growing and you shouldn't work on stuff like that, but you also have to accept where you're at without judging yourself and being hard on yourself. It's okay. You know, it's okay. You know, it's just that it's fine if you're like an alcoholic. It's fine if you're a fucking loser. And I know that sounds weird, but I'm just saying, like, the problem is that you're not going to be happy that way. You know, most people aren't going to be happy that way. And so that's why I would encourage you to change, not because I think nothing's anything wrong with you or that I'm judging or anything. It's that that's not where you're going to find your happiest place. You know what I mean? I believe. You know what I'm saying? If you're happy there, it's fine, do you. Like, it don't really matter. But I think, yeah, drugs fuck up our, brain chemistry. When you're addicted, if you're not addicted to shit, then do you. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the problem with drugs is a lot of us get addicted, and when you do something all the time, every day, it's gonna fuck your life up. If you can do it like every once in a while, then I think drugs are fine. But it's when you get addicted, and there's a lot of drugs that are addicting. So I'm not one of those people that are just like anti-drug. Honestly, I think drugs are great if you are not addicted to them. But the problem is a lot of us get addicted, especially when we have issues, and it's hard to be your best self if you're addicted to drugs. So it's like you're not going to be in your best shape. You're not going to have you're not going to be in a more peaceful state. It's going to be hard to, a lot of times, drugs may be the reason why you're overthinking so much, because your mind races if you're on an upper and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and then you have highs and then you have lows. And then when you have lows, you're irritated, and then your relationships suffer. And so there's a whole string of effects where, things get fucked up. So you have to, like, to learn how to just, it's like when I first started drinking, it was hard. It was like I was in the dark for so long, and then I had to step out in the light, and then it felt like, ah, man, like everybody can see my imperfection. So it made me want to just, start drinking again, because it was just like, I just felt like fucking Quasimodo or some shit, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, that like, and I had to go to work feeling like that. And so I think that's what makes addicts want to just start drinking again or start whatever drug they're on, because like you feel like everybody's aware of all your imperfections. You know what I mean? And then you have to like see other people that have the shit together, and then you have to go out into the light feeling like you're a monster, But the longer you stay sober, the more you'll be able to heal, and then you'll improve, and you'll be better. But if you just go back to doing drugs, you're still that same person. You know what I mean? You're just in denial and you don't have to feel it. You know what I mean? But you're still in that same person. You know what I mean? So, like, don't judge yourself. Like, get sober, face the anxiety, face the kind of like, you may have to face embarrassment, you may have to face that you're not as where you want to be, and that's okay. Stop judging yourself. You have to not give a fuck what people think, you know, because people are going to judge you whether you're on top of the world or whether you're at the bottom. People are going to talk shit. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, a year from that, you'll be better than what you were when you first started to get sober. And then 3 years, you'll be better than that. And then 4 years, and then you'll get to a point where, like, man, I actually like the person I am. And you just stay working on yourself. You stay getting healthy. It's about being healthy at the end of the day. It's not about, that something's wrong with you, that you know what I mean? Like, that nobody's better than you. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't give a fuck. It's just about, like, you have to, like, nobody's better than you. You're not better than nobody. We're just all in, it's just about being healthy at the end of the line, at the end of the day. And you want to get sober, or you want to break your addictions because you want to be healthy. And when I talk about addictions, it's not just drugs. It could be an ideology that you're addicted to that's causing you problems in life. It could be TV. We're addicted to a lot of stuff that's bad for us, not just drugs. It could be McDonald's. So, you want to break as many addictions as you can. Even something as simple as coffee, it could be detrimental to your life. So people aren't better than you. They're addicted too. They're just addicted to something different and they don't realize how it's harming them. Everybody's addicted to shit that's fucking their life up. They just a lot of times don't realize, so it's like, there's a lot of things that are addictive, that ruin, that are not in their best interest. So, and then once you become sober, you become more aware, and then you'll be breaking addictions that other people can't break because you've broke the hardest addiction. Like, to me, it's like, bro, if I could break alcohol addiction, like, I could fucking, break any addiction. I had a TV addiction. I broke that, and then I started to learn more and stuff. So, there's so many, addictions that I would encourage people to break. It could be just social programming from your culture, and then you learn how to break those, and then you're happier. So, you're fine. Like, if you're an addict, you know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of addicts, we gotta learn to love ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, learn to love yourself. Learn to not need validation as much. Needing validation to an extent is just a part of being human. But a lot of times we seek approval too much. Validate yourself. And this goes for people that aren't addicts, You got to learn to validate yourself. You got to learn to, because a lot of times as addicts, we have so many issues. Like, sometimes we're not setting the boundaries that we need for, we don't set boundaries like we should. You know what I mean? We feel stuck in life. The more you face fear, the more it'll be easier, the more happier you'll be. And the more the easier it is to not, and you won't need drugs to depend on. And face boredom, learn how to deal with boredom. You got to learn how to deal with the uncomfortable shit and not just repeat the uncomfortable emotions and not just always need to retreat to drugs. Learn meditation, learn Zen, You know, all these things help. You have to replace, you have to find ways to kind of make life work for you so you don't need to depend on drugs. And a lot of times it's not your fault. We're not taught a lot of these things. You know what I mean? You know, learn how to, you know, you have to face your trauma. You know, that may be people pleasing. That may be, uh, you know, a lot of things. I probably should like, I just freestyle these videos as you could, I'm sure you could tell. So, but yeah, just, you know, love yourself. Nobody's better than you. And learn to have compassion for other people. Learn to be, you have to learn how to be more patient with people. And because the more patience you have for others, a lot of times the more patience you'll have for yourself. People that don't have patience for others don't have patience for themselves. So if you see a person that's always irritated with everybody, they probably are the same way to themselves, and it's not good. So learn to be patient with yourself. Learn to be, you know, to control your temper a little bit. Like, what people don't know about me is like, I have, a lot of people don't know, like, I have a temper, a big temper. I just learned how to control it more. Like when I was younger, I was just triggered and I would just fire off if anybody hurt my feelings or if I got angry. I had to learn, you know, to control my emotions, to put things in perspective. You know, I didn't really have that a lot of times. When I was younger, you have to learn how to emotionally mature. Because a lot of times that's due to trauma, when we just are triggered by everything. You have to learn patience for others, patience for yourself. Learn how to deal with your emotions. You have to emotionally mature. And it's hard to be emotionally mature when you have drugs running through your system. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to be patient, you know, and stuff like that. So it's just about being healthy at the end of the day. It's, you know, um, I'm just dropping this video because I want people to be healthy. I want people to be happy, and I know it's hell. I know life as an addict, as an alcoholic specifically, is hell, basically. And then you'll realize when you get sober how strong you are. Because if you can deal with alcoholism, you're a tough motherfucker, like, or a lot of drugs, you know, whatever you're addicted to. Alcoholism, I mean, addiction is just a hell. Everything in your life just comes crashing down. And so you might think you're weak, but you're not, you're strong. And the more you get sober, you'll see how strong you fucking are and how tough. Because that hell you're going through, it'll turn around and things will start to work out in your benefit. You know, so it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit. It ain't easy to like, to have a hangover every morning, you know, to watch everything in your life burn down to the ground, you know, to be like puking fucking all the time, you know, you know, to have everything in your life go wrong, your dreams come crashing down. So you're a tough motherfucker. And if you get sober, you'll shine more. And you'll be proud of yourself. Because, like, to be real, like, I think a lot of addicts are some of the fucking best people that I know. Like, I have, like, a lot of people in my family that have struggled with addiction, and they're my favorite fucking people. Like, a lot of the addicts are, like, addicts in my family are my favorite ones because they just have great hearts. I think a lot of times we're just sensitive and we have a lot of trauma, and a lot of it isn't our fault, but at the end of the day, it's your life, so you have to deal with it. You know what I mean? Because you want to be happy and you want to, you know, make everybody around you happy. So, yeah. And it's hard to be there for people when you're at the bottom. So sometimes you have to get yourself healthy in order to help people. Because I know a lot of addicts just want to help people. Like I say, they're some of my favorite people. But who can you help when you're so fucked up? Like you can't help nobody when you're broken. So, yeah. Um, I think that's all I have right now. I know this is a long ass video, and I hope it wasn't too. I hope it helped somebody, but yeah, for real, like if you're struggling, it's alright, but you want to be healthy so you can have a better life and so that you can get that dark cloud from over your head. Because I still have struggles. You're going to still have struggles, of course, as long as you're human. Um, but there was a dark, like I had such a dark cloud over my head that I swore I couldn't, where it just felt like I was cursed. But you can get that dark cloud from over your head, and your life will it will improve more and more, and you can do things that you never thought you can do, and you could be a person you're proud of. So, you know, so no matter how low you feel you are, it's okay. Just take one day at a time and just work on getting better and stop judging yourself. You're amazing, you know. So, yeah, practice self-love, you know, and take it one day at a time. And I'm telling you, your life will be a lot better, way better. So, yeah, I'm probably gonna do another part 2 to this video. But yeah, like if you're in the storm, you know what I'm saying, struggling with whatever, yeah, like you can do it. It's just about your mind. You have to cultivate a mind that empowers you instead of a mind that puts you down in a low vibration. Everything's energy. You got to have thoughts that empower you. A lot of times we have thoughts that push us down. Nobody's better than you. People have just different minds because for whatever reason, there's a lot of factors. You know, you can cultivate an empowering mind, and then you can start to improve, you know, your situation. You know, then maybe you can help somebody else that's, you know, in a bad situation. But yeah, anyway, if you're struggling, stay strong. I love y'all. Peace.